ओम ज्ञानतिमिनन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So welcome everyone on this Sunday evening. So in Delhi it's really hot. It's a very heavy Sunday evening. So a happy Ekadashi to all of you, and this today is a very auspicious day. So we'll just cover what we have basically discussed till now. So we are approaching the end of the first chapter, and I think in the last session we discussed that how Arjuna basically he is giving lot of reasons, 5 reasons he gave to not to fight. And if you imagine the situation in which Arjuna is, if you imagine yourself in that situation, then actually it's a very difficult situation. It's a situation of crisis where he is seeing his family members, he is identifying with them, and because of that identifying, he is actually feeling anxiety, trauma, and fear. And in that situation also, like in spite of all the negative emotions, he is able to give these 5 reasons, which are actually not his own like mental concoction. It is all the 5 reasons were according to Shastra. So you can see the qualities of Arjuna, that even though he is totally stressed out, he is in anxiety, but still he remembers what he has learned from his gurus according to Shastra. And according to that Shastra, he is giving 5 reasons. And so one of the reasons was basically, if this battle happens, then most of the women will be unprotected, and that will lead to Varna Sankara, because in battle there are no winners in a war, right? So everybody loses somebody, and because of that, generally women they become unprotected, and there are children also in the house who don't participate in the battle, but the head of the families are lost. And because of this loss, there is so much there are so many negative emotions in the families, and the good population, the head of the families are lost, so that might lead to unprotected women and unprotected dependents, which might further lead to Varna Sankara. So what is Varna Sankara? Varna Sankara means unwanted population, because generally, like, women require protection. That is what Shastra says, Manu Samhita says, even Bhagavad Gita says, even like different acharyas also say. So in the beginning, like in the childhood, women should be protected by father, and in the youth, she should be protected by her husband, and in the old age, she should be protected by her young sons. So that's how basically women should be protected throughout her life, and that's the way she can live happily under the guidance of somebody senior, somebody elder. That's the way she can remain happy, she can remain confident and comfortable. So these things we were discussing, and as so the reasons which Arjuna is giving, it shows that his intelligence is very clear, like there is no cloud, there is no confusion. Very clearly he is able to see the consequences of the battle. He could envision he could envision the future actually, and that's why he is able to give these 5 reasons. So that is the quality of Arjuna, and we discussed in the initial sessions that without understanding the qualities of Arjuna, actually it's very difficult to understand Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita is a Vedic book, and actually it's devotion, condensed devotion. The essence of Bhagavad Gita is to understand Krishna in tattva. Yeah. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vekti tattvata tyaktva deham punarjanma nayati mameti sarjana. So in the fourth chapter, Krishna will tell actually that how we can know Krishna in tattva, and that can be done only if basically we have a particular disposition of heart when we are learning Bhagavad Gita from devotees. So that was the question, I think, that how we can extract maximum out of Bhagavad Gita. And I hinted that basically there are these ABCD parameters: A for association, B for yeah. So B for what was B?
Book,
Anybody remember?
book, book
Books.
distribution.
Yeah, books. So you have to read Prabhupada books. And C for chanting the holy name. And D for diet. So if you can, so you are what you eat. Basically, whatever you eat. Like I think 25% of of our mind is made up of what we are eating. So diet should be like mode of goodness. It should be like sanctified food. So these four things takes care of like that we have more deeper understanding of Bhagavad Gita. So that brings us to mode of goodness and even higher, like that elevates our consciousness. And now, like we will see that in the 43rd verse, like Arjuna will tell one more reason how actually we can understand Bhagavad Gita even better. So so the disposition of heart should be humble, and we should have a broad perspective to understand things, to discuss things, and to understand the mood of Krishna and Arjuna. And the most important thing is to hear from devotees in the association of devotees, because when you hear from devotees who have like lot of regard and love and devotion for Krishna and other devotees, then that devotion actually impermeates your heart also. And without devotion, it's difficult to understand the essence of Bhagavad Gita. So with that we will start today's reading session. So any questions till now? If not, we'll start. So this is the 43rd verse. उत्सन्न कुलधर्माणां मनुष्याणां जनार्दन नरके नियतं वासो भवत् इति अनुशुश्रुमा. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. Yeah. Arjuna bases his argument not on his own personal experience but on what he has heard from the authorities. That is the way of receiving real knowledge. One cannot reach the real point of actual knowledge without being helped by the right person who is already established in that knowledge. There is a system in the Varnashrama institution by which before death one has to undergo the process of atonement for his sinful activities. One who is always engaged in sinful activities must utilize the process of atonement called prayaschitta. Without doing so, one surely will be transferred to hellish planets to undergo miserable lives as the result of sinful activities. So here in this purport, we see like there are two important points. The first point is very important, and that comes in the category of how to extract maximum out of Bhagavad Gita. So first of all, like Bhagavad Gita is not about like just like in our material life we want to extract maximum everything out of everything, right? Our managers want to extract maximum out of us, or if we are given some subordinates we want to extract maximum out of them. But actually Bhagavad Gita is more about like having a mood of service and having a mood of humility, and then like approaching Bhagavad Gita with a mood of humility and service, and then trying to like receive this knowledge from a higher source, from a person who is at a higher consciousness than us. And here we see that whatever arguments Arjuna is making, that those arguments are based on the philosophy which he has heard from other authorities. Yeah. So I think somebody is allowing the people who are coming, right? Thanks for that service. Yeah. So this is one more thing, that whatever we have heard from the authorities, we should basically try to assimilate that and then repeat that whenever we speak, whenever we share this knowledge of Krishna consciousness with others. And similarly, like actually in the fourth chapter, Krishna mentions this, that yoga nasta parantapa, because this line of disciplic succession that has been lost because generally, as I mentioned, that in the at the end of introduction there is a disciplic succession which starts from Krishna and which is coming to our like contemporary Acharya Srila Prabhupada. So he is the latest Acharya who is connected to this disciplic succession, which is starting from Krishna himself. Krishna gave this knowledge to Brahma, and then Brahma gave this knowledge to Narada, and then Narada gave it to Vyasdev. And then further and further, this knowledge, this mystic knowledge, continues to be given down in this unbroken line of disciplic succession. And here we can see, like we can at least trust this line of acharyas that they have totally assimilated the knowledge from their guru. And the similar like point Arjuna is also saying, that I have heard these things from my guru, and that's why only I am asking these questions. That if we destroy these family traditions like the Shraddha ceremony, then we will dwell in hell. So that is one more point which Prabhupada is making, that basically when we hear from a person who has assimilated this knowledge, then only basically we can understand, we can assimilate the knowledge. It's not possible to assimilate it ourselves. We have to hear from a higher source. When the mercy flows from a devotee who has assimilated that mercy, who has some realization about Krishna, then basically we are able to understand about Krishna. So this is most important, that we can extract out of Bhagavad Gita only when we hear from authorized sources. So the source of hearing is very important, that the source should be properly connected to the disciplic succession. And we discussed that basically there are four types of disciplic succession in this age. So one is Brahma Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, which we are, like Lord Brahma is there. And the second one is Rudra Sampradaya, Lord Shiva. And then there is Kumara Sampradaya, which is coming from four Kumaras, the sons of Brahma. And then the last one is Sri Sampradaya, that is headed by Lord Lakshmi. Lakshmi. Yeah. So if we basically become a student of any one of these sampradayas, then we can aspire to gain pure knowledge and then assimilate it in our heart and understand, and then you can make questions. Then you can be inquisitive about the content what they are presenting. Yeah, so this is one point, and then the second point is basically Prabhupada is telling that for any activity which we do in this material world in our life, that has to be gauged through the lens of scriptures, and that will make you basically that will understand that whether that activity is a sinful activity, or it's a pious activity, or it's a bhakti activity. So there are three types of activities which we will learn about in the fourth chapter. Yeah, karma, and vikarma. Yeah. So there is one story here. So one question I will ask on this point of authority: that suppose you want to determine the father of a person. So who is the authority who can directly answer that who is the father of this person? You can raise your hand. Okay. Yeah, any Google. I think Kiran already answered, but yeah, if anybody wants to try, anybody wants to define. Okay, Vaishali says that parents and grandparents of that person. Okay. Yeah, so mother is the authority. Basically, if you ask from the mother, then only mother can surely tell that who is the father of that person, of her son or daughter. So here mother is the authority. And if you deny the authority of mother, then you have to do a lot of DNA scans. You have to like take the hair and do a lot of testing. And that might require like testing 1 million samples. So this is the difference between like accepting an authority and basically not accepting an authority, where you just do a random survey which has to reach 1 million people. So this is the difference between school of hard knocks and a school of nectar method. So the next method is nectar method. So school of hard knocks is like a lot of punches you will get, from Maya if you don't accept the authority. And if you accept the authority, then it will every method will become nectar method. So there is one more story here. Srila Prabhupada was there, and that was also a day of Ekadashi. And one of his female disciples' name was Jadurani. So Jadurani was taking a look at a picture where Mahavishnu was born. Mahavishnu was drawn, and Mahavishnu was lying down on the ocean. But it was not very clear whether the Mahavishnu was lying down or he was sitting. So Jadurani asked Srila Prabhupada that Srila Prabhupada, can you tell me that whether Mahavishnu is lying down or he is sitting in this painting? So Prabhupada just like with a lot of gravity, he looked towards Jadurani. And then then Prabhupada told that you should fast for 3 days and then you will understand. So Jadurani was shocked after hearing this sentence from Prabhupada. So Jadurani went and she started fasting. Generally, like you have to follow the order of the spiritual master, and so all the disciples had very deep love for Prabhupada. So they did whatever he used to tell. So after 2 hours, Prabhupada came to Jadurani, and he told that Mahavishnu is standing in this painting. So after 2 hours, he told Jadurani this thing. And then Prabhupada told that if you like, you can take my words directly, or if you wish, if you want to realize it yourself, then you can fast for 3 days. That is up to you. And then you will get the realization in your heart, in your own heart. So Jadurani said, no, Prabhupada, I accept your words full-heartedly. And I totally believe that Mahavishnu is lying down. He's not standing in this painting. So this is a perfect story to understand that if you accept the words of an authority, then you are saved from so much trouble, so much hard work. And here also, like in our material world, there are different authorities. There is Indradev, there is like Pavan Devta, and we discussed about these demigods who are having like particular verticals. Just like in Google, there are verticals where you take care of some vertical is about AI, some vertical is about Google search, and some vertical is about ML, some vertical is about hardware design. So similarly, in this material world also, there are authorities who take care of this material world. Somebody is in charge of rain, somebody is in charge of running the wind, somebody is in charge of sunlight, and somebody is in charge. So these are demigods basically. There is Indradev, there is Pavandev, and then there is sun god Vivaswan, which Krishna mentions in the 4th chapter. And above all these, basically there is Krishna, who is basically who is appointing these people to take care of different verticals of the material of this cosmic manifestation. Yeah. So, and generally, like we are seeing more troubles, more earthquakes, and all these things because it clearly, like even viruses, coronavirus, all these things are only because we are moving away from our Vedic way of life. Basically, our demigods are not so happy the way we are living our lives. So if we try to understand Bhagavad Gita, if we hear from devotees about the explanation of Bhagavad Gita, then we will also get to know about a certain way in which we can live our life, which is basically connecting to God, and then we can elevate our consciousness through those spiritual practices like chanting Hare Krishna, reading Bhagavad Gita together, and assimilating Bhagavad Gita, trying to apply Bhagavad Gita in our lives. And when you apply, then you get realizations, then you share realizations with your other peer devotees. So all these things, if you do, then you basically come closer to the traditional Vedic way of life. And as we discussed in the previous session, in Vedic way of life is simple living, high thinking. Basically, generally the occupational duty is very simple, like 8 hours, 9 hours, whatever you do it on focus, and rest 2-3 hours you give for understanding about Krishna and understanding higher matters, what you are, You are not this body, you are spirit, soul. And then on the spiritual platform also, you have a relationship with Krishna. So all these things are spiritual, like spirit, soul. You are spirit, soul. Krishna is spiritual. And then when you chant the holy name, that is also spiritual. When you read Bhagavad Gita, that is also a spiritual activity. When you offer bhoga to Krishna, that is also spiritual. So all these spiritual activities spiritualizes your life, and like you will be able to harness like lot of positive energy, and your life will become blissful. So like this, basically, we have to move more and more closer to Krishna, and try to like start from somewhere. We have to take incremental steps in our relationship to Krishna. Everybody of you should start maybe chanting for 10-15 minutes, and for 20, maybe 15-20 minutes, you can read Bhagavad Gita daily. You can pick up one shloka, whatever shloka you liked till now in the first chapter, you can read, and maybe you can recite one shloka each every day. So that will elevate your consciousness. That will give you a higher, deeper connect with your consciousness, with your internal psyche, and yeah. So like that, basically, we derive deeper spiritual happiness from these activities. Yeah, yeah. So this was an important point. That's why I just wanted to explain more. Yeah. So let's go to the next look. I hope there are no questions. Maybe yeah, after 10 minutes we can take. अहो बत महत्पापं कर्तुं व्यवसिता वयं यद्राज्य सुखलोभेन हन्तुं स्वजनमुद्यता. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts, driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness. We are intent on killing our own kinsmen. Yeah. Purport. Driven by selfish motives, one may be inclined to such sinful acts as the killing of one's own brother, father, or mother. There are many such instances in the history of the world, but Arjuna, being a saintly devotee of the Lord, is always conscious of moral principles and therefore takes care to avoid such activities. Yeah, so basically, this again uh, gives more emphasis on the contemplation of Arjuna. So Arjuna was a very, very soft-hearted person, and he was very contemplative about what he's going to do in the battlefield. Yeah. And again, this is more about identity, change and identity, right? Like what we have been learning in these sessions, that Arjuna is identifying too much with his relatives, because of which he's feeling these negative emotions. He's That's why this chapter is also called Vishad Yoga. Vishad means basically negative. Yeah. So let's go to the next verse. यदि माम अप्रतीकारम अशास्त्रम शास्त्रपानय धार्तराष्ट्ररणे हन्युस्तन्मे क्षेमतरम भवेत्. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. Yeah, but purport. It is the custom according to Kshatriya fighting principles that an unarmed and unwilling foe should not be attacked. Arjuna, however, decided that even if attacked by the enemy in such an awkward position, he would not fight. He did not consider how much the other party was bent upon fighting. All these symptoms are due to soft heartedness resulting from his being a great devotee of the Lord. Yeah, so we saw in the last session also that Arjuna could understand the consciousness of the opposite party. He could see that they were very greedy to kill Pandavas and to usurp the entire kingdom. But again and again, Arjuna is telling Krishna that although they might be greedy, but why should we kill them? We are not greedy. We are like actually we are saintly persons. We belong to the Aryan dynasty, so we should not imitate them. We should actually stop this killing, and we should stop this cycle of bad actions. So again and again, like it shows the thoughtfulness and envisioning of Arjuna. So this is the yeah. I think there is one more verse. Yeah. So this is the last verse in which Sanjaya tells the position of Arjuna. Sanjaya uvacha eva uktva Arjuna sankhe rathopastha upavishat visrijya saram chapam shoka samvigna manasa. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So here we see that Arjuna has given up totally, that I don't want to fight in the battlefield, and he is actually about to cry, and he is not even able to hold his Gandiva properly. and that's why he's full of negative emotions. Yeah. And I think similar situation happens in our lives also, that sometimes we might have wealth, we might have good family, we might have good wife, we might have good parents, and we have all the opulence, but still, like, there are situations which are given to us by Krishna, which actually are not so easy to traverse. Like, we find some confusion, some anxiety because of that situation. So that's why, like, these lessons and these readings of Bhagavad Gita will help us to understand that how to deal with those situations also. And now in the second chapter, we'll see that how Krishna will reply. What is Krishna's reply to Arjuna's reasons, Arjuna's envisioning of the results of battle. Yeah, so let's read the first words. Sanjay Vacha tam tatha kripayavistam अश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणं विषीदन्तम् idam vakyam uvacha Madhusudana. Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana, Krishna spoke the following words. Yeah, so we should read this purport. Yeah. Anybody who wants to read? Maybe Tanusha? Okay.
Nidhi is saying she can read.
Okay, Nidhi Padar. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Material compassion, lamentation, and tears are all signs of ignorance of the real self. Compassion for the eternal soul is self realization. The word Madhusudana is significant in this verse. Lord Krishna killed the demon Madhu, and now Arjuna wanted Krishna to kill the demon of misunderstanding that had overtaken him in the discharge of his duty. No one knows where compassion should be applied. Compassion for the dress of a drowning man is senseless. A man fallen in the ocean of nescience cannot be saved simply by rescuing his outward dress, that is, the gross material body. One who does not know this and laments for the outward dress is called a Shudra, or one who laments unnecessarily. Arjuna was a Kshatriya, and this conduct was not expected from him. Lord Krishna, however, can dissipate the lamentation of the ignorant man, and for this purpose the Bhagavad Gita was sung by him. This chapter instructs us in the self realization by an analytical study of the material body and the spirit soul, as explained by the Supreme Authority, Lord Sri Krishna. This realization is possible when one works without attachment to fruited results and is situated in the fixed conception of the real self. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Yeah, this is a very interesting purport, and I'm sure that there will be a lot of insights needed to understand this. So, yeah, so one thing is basically this example of dress of a drowning man is given. And I remember that one day, like, students of IIT Delhi did this play that somebody was drowning in the water, and the body had disappeared, and there was only one jacket which was floating on the water. And somebody who did not know swimming, he jumped into to save that jacket. So this was a play which was done by, like, IIT Delhi folks, and to and that play, actually this play demonstrates the essence of this purport, that how, like, compassion has to be properly placed, and compassion just on a material platform will not really help. And that's what Arjuna is doing here, that he's relating with his teachers, with his relatives, and he's saying that they will all be killed from whom I have received so much knowledge and with whom I want to enjoy my kingdom. They will all be killed. But in the later verses, we will find that Krishna says that even after being killed, they will achieve higher planets. So Krishna is giving again and again the spiritual conception, and again, Arjuna is like asking questions on the material conception. So this is the this is the war. This is a war going on between Maya and Krishna, basically. And generally, trying to cultivate Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada says that it's like waging a war against Maya. So Arjuna is fighting that war. He's fighting his war, which is going on in his mind internally also, and he's going to fight the tangible war also, where he will kill his relatives. So while fighting this internal war, he's asking these questions. And I think in the purport, Prabhupada is mentioning to answer these questions. Now Krishna will enlighten Arjuna by giving this knowledge of Sankhya Yoga. So Sankhya Yoga means to separate, how to distinguish between matter and spirit. So this chapter instructs us in self-realization by an analytical study of the material body and the spirit soul. So just like you develop discrimination, you do some laboratory experiments in chemistry lab, you do some litmus test to understand whether it's an acid or base. So similarly, there are some principles from which you can understand whether a particular thing is material or spiritual, and what are the qualities of spirit soul that Krishna will describe in this chapter. Yeah, so that is something which which you should, which all of us can look forward to. So I would maybe open for questions if there are any questions right now. Otherwise, we can proceed to on for the next verses. Yeah. Okay. Vaishali is asking a question: is Maya not Lord Krishna's sister? Wasn't she the one born before Lord Krishna and made Akashvani when Kansa tried to kill her? So, war between brother and sister. Yeah, so there is one premise to this question, that Krishna was born through the womb of Devaki. And that premise is wrong. So, Krishna is never born, Krishna is eternal. So, Krishna is telling this in the fourth chapter, in the fifth verse to Arjuna, that although you have taken so many births, but I did not take any birth. So Shri, in the fifth verse, Krishna says, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava cha Arjuna tanyam ved sarvani na tvam vedta parantapa. So many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. So that is the difference between the birth of a living entity and birth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna, whenever he descends in a spiritual form, and he does not actually, uh, basically, when he is in the material world, his body is also spiritual. For example, our body, our hand, it is made of these pancha tattvas, Bhumirapo and Vayu, right? But Krishna's body is also spiritual. It has a Satchidananda Vigraha form. So in introduction, you can read Bhagavad Gita introduction. There it is said that Satchidananda Vigraha form of Krishna, that is eternal. So Krishna is always eternally, he is there. But when he comes from the womb of Devaki, he just descends. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyuttanama dharmasya tadatmanam srajamiham. So srajamiham means like he just descends. He's always existing in his spiritual planet, but he descends in one of the forms in the through the womb of Devaki. And that also only because of the request of demigods. So the demigods like Brahma were really terrified by Kamsa king, by his atrocious activities. That's why like demigods were praying to Lord Vishnu that do something. And that's how like Krishna came through the womb of Devaki. So Krishna is always existing, and these, like as we are discussing, that Krishna has multiple energies, and Maya is one of the energies of Krishna. And as you are telling that Maya appeared before, the Yog Maya Shakti appeared before, so that is the Yog Maya. So there are different Mayas also, Yog Maya, Mahamaya. So Yog Maya appeared before, and Yog Maya actually transferred Balram from the womb of Devaki to Rohini, and that was Yog Maya actually, that was not Mahamaya. So Yog Maya is the internal potency of Krishna, and Mahamaya is the external potency of Krishna. So the more we serve Krishna, more we perform devotion, we are under the shelter of Yog Maya. So Yog Maya facilitates the pastimes of Krishna whenever he descends to this material planet to protect his devotees and uh, to kill the miscreants. Yeah, so she was born before, and she had a purpose. And but Krishna was not actually born at that time. Krishna is eternally existing, but he just manifested, and he just descended from the womb of Devaki to for a purpose. Uh, yeah. Is it okay, Vaishali, this answer? Okay, thank you. Yeah, Manish Prabhu has some question. You want to ask, Manish Prabhu?
No, I don't have question. When you ask the question, no, कि who knows the child, about the child, ki mother knows, that ki, who is the parents or real mother and father of that child. That question, for that question I raised my hand.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Okay, no problem, Vaishali. Yeah, so Bharti is also asking one question, that this means we are under the potency of Krishna only, but what is Mahamaya? Yeah, so that depends on our take. So as we have discussed in the previous session also, that generally living entities are governed by the marginal potency. So marginal potency is sometimes in Yog Maya, sometimes in Mahamaya. So Mahamaya is actual Maya, what we call that सब मोह माया है और माया ही है, ये तो सब मोह माया है, छोड़ देते हैं. तो that Maya is actually Mahamaya. So Mahamaya is the actual external potency of the Lord, which takes care of people, which gives correction, and which gives various situations, which arranges various situations, so as to rectify the living entity, so that he can go closer to Krishna. And the other one is Yog Maya. Yog Maya acts when you say, okay, I want to serve Krishna, I want to serve his devotees, I want to take association of devotees, and I want to realize my relationship with Krishna. So then basically Yog Maya acts. And yeah, okay. So depending on our heart and on our disposition, we can see that what type of Maya is acting on us. If we experience some spiritual bliss, that is given by Yog Maya. And in the ninth chapter, Krishna says that Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Devim Prakritim Ashrita. So Devi Prakriti means Yog Maya. Bhajante Ananya Manaso Gyatva Bhutadim Abhyayam. So that is the characteristic of a Mahatma. Mahatma means a person who is a great soul. So he takes shelter of the internal potency every moment. How? Why? Bhajante ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyam. So he engages in bhajan. So as we discussed in the last session, Shraddha Adav Shraddha Tatak Sadhu Sangha Tato Bhajana Kriya. So all of you have some faith in Bhagavad Gita. All of you wants to know more about Krishna. That's why all of you are here. And when we have faith, Adav Shraddha, then basically Tatak Sadhu Sangha. Then we approach devotees, we approach sadhus, and we do bhajan kriya with them. So when we do bhajan kriya with them, then actually we experience the effect of internal potency. Generally, like, very few people know about these concepts in this world. But when you contact with devotees, when you take prasadam, when you indulge yourself in kirtan with them, then actually you understand about the internal potency of Krishna. So that is what, yeah, my take. Does that answer, Bharti, your question?
Yes, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think as I quoted the shloka from 9th chapter, so that is one reference. And I think there will be many references in other books also. So this remembering Krishna, Krishna bhuliya ji bhog vancha kare, Maya japoti yatare. So as soon as we forget Krishna, immediately Maya catches us. So this shloka is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So like this, as you learn Bhagavad Gita, you will understand this different types of Maya, and in like Krishna book also it is there, where this story of like birth of Krishna and how Maya appears before Yog Maya appears before Krishna to transfer Balram from from Devki to Rohini. So in Krishna book also you will have this. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, Aditya Prabhu has a question. Aditya, what's
Hare Krishna Prabhu. My question is more about the karma thing. I mean, Mahamaya and Yogmaya both are the, uh, I mean, external and internal potencies of Krishna. But this karma is something which we like. What we choose is like decides our karma, right? And I mean, why it has to be in place? Like, why is there any reason specified in scriptures that this is the process and like why it started? I mean, why this whole process started?
Okay. So Aditya Prabhu is asking why karma, why suffering, and how this process got initiated. Yeah. So why is there karma? Like if Krishna is all merciful to all living entities, then why does he wanting? Why so many living entities are suffering because of karma? So I think these discussions we have had a lot of times. Vaishali is also asking similar questions, that why some very weird situations come in our life, and are they like the manifestation of our karma or what? And how does it deal with the Yog Maya and Mahamaya? I think that's what Prabhu is also asking. So I think I mentioned this in the previous sessions, that originally we are spirit souls, and we belong to spiritual world. We don't belong to this material world. And in the spiritual world, we are serving Krishna in our rasa, in our constitutional position. But while serving, there might be a case that in our heart we may get this desire that why only Krishna? Why should I serve Krishna every time? Because in the material world also we see, right, this concept of knocker is very negative. Like people say, oh, you are a servant. What is your respect? What is your dignity? There is no dignity. But actually, in the spiritual world, the qualification, the position which we give to a servant who is serving Krishna and devotees is very high. So Krishna's devotees position is very high, and a Vaishnava who is serving other Vaishnavas, that is actually very high, and he is very close to Krishna. But sometimes when we are serving Krishna in the spiritual world, this doubt comes that why should I serve Krishna every time? I should enjoy my own senses. And then actually with that thought, this attitude of rebelliousness begins. And once we rebel, we tell to God, okay, I want to enjoy myself, I want to enjoy my senses, I want to be independent, I want to rebel, I don't want to serve you, I want to experience something else. So then Krishna will ask you that, are you sure you want to do that? And then a couple of times he will ask, and then basically he will let you do whatever you want. He will make the arrangement, just like a very dear son of a father. If son wants to rebel against father, father very compassionately he will say, okay, I can't really basically I can't control your desire, so whatever you do, you can do. I will arrange all the facilities, all the circumstances, so that you can fulfill your desires. But his heart will pain, because the son wants to take part, take he wants separation from his father. So similarly, like Krishna's heart also pains when we rebel from him, when we want to enjoy ourselves, when we don't want to basically go towards him. So Krishna is very compassionate, and he is very merciful. But also once we misuse our free will, and we make this rebellious decision, then Krishna doesn't take responsibility of our actions and reactions, all that stuff. So in the 5th chapter, Krishna says this, na datte kasachit papam na chaiva sukritam vibhu. So once you rebel, then you are made Brahma, then you are made Indra, very high position in some demigods planets. And then gradually, as you enjoy your senses, as you get more and more entangled of whatever you are doing, uh, what, whatever you do away from Krishna, that incurs some reaction. And that's how our karma accumulates. And all of us are coming from millions of birds. It says that there are 8,400,000 species, and once you are past human life, and depending on how you execute your human life, it decides whether your trajectory is upwards or trajectory is downwards. So trajectories upwards means you will go maybe to the spiritual planets or demigod bodies, and downwards means you will go to the animal bodies. You will have to traverse these 8 million species of animals, and then again after 8 million species you will get human body after this cycle. So whatever karma you do in this human life, that you have to purify in the animal cycle and through the basically naraka, and then come back to human life. And then again in human life, you get this chance to either elevate or degrade yourself. So that's why it is called human life is very, very important. And to understand, because Krishna is giving intelligence, and uh, Krishna is giving us this mind and intelligence to discriminate between things and to inquire about our real nature, about our relationship with Him. So, like that, basically, if we can elevate ourselves in this life by doing bhakti activities and by doing pious activities, then we can go towards demigod planets also. And yeah, depending on that. So your question, does that little bit answer, Aditya Prabhu, your question?
Yes, sorry, my net is a bit flaky. I'm just traveling to my home. I'm in a cab. So, just one more question. This was very like detailed explanation that you gave, Rajat Prabhu. One more question around this is like, so for example, there are demons and all, right? And Krishna actually liberates them, right? Like he kills them and they get liberated. But how does it confirm that their desire is actually
Mhm.
getting vanished as well if they are killed by Krishna? Because ultimately the start was like they had the desire to enjoy themselves, and when Krishna kills them, how does it kill their desire as well?
Yeah, nice. So generally, Krishna doesn't kill any desires. Generally, Krishna facilitates whatever desires we have, and that's why you will see when you like read the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there is a picture, there is a plate, and above is the spiritual world, and down is the material world, and on the boundary, this desire word is shown. So maybe I'll just look it up. Uh, and it's very difficult to understand Lord's plan also, right? Uh,
Correct. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm.
So these
I
are
mean, I'm just asking if there is anything present in scriptures, because I'm lacking knowledge, like really lacking the knowledge that you might be having. So that's why I'm asking if there is some example or something given in shastras that actually give meaning to some of these things.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I hope like all of you also are understanding our discussions. I think today discussions are becoming more philosophical. So maybe after answering his question, I will just conclude. Maybe take out some leadership lessons from our session today. So yeah. So the answer to this question is, suppose you take the example of Putna, right? So Putna came to kill Krishna, and Putna was a witch actually. Witch means chudel, and she was sent by Kansa to kill Krishna, and Krishna was maybe 1 year old or 6 months old, and in that position, uh, Putna came as a very, very beautiful woman, and nobody could conclude that she was going to kill Krishna, or she had ulterior motives. So in this case also, like when she came as a mother who was feeding Krishna her breast milk, and as soon as Krishna started feeding on the milk, she turned her milk into poison. And when she was feeding milk to Krishna, Krishna could understand the motherly feelings of Putana. So Krishna acknowledged those motherly feelings, and Krishna did not see those demoniac tendencies or demoniac motives with which Putana came. So she gave a position of mother in the spiritual planets. She was given a position of mother in the higher planets by Krishna, just because she had that motherly affection for Krishna. So Krishna doesn't see like if even if there is 1% of good, Krishna will see that he will neglect that 99% of bad qualities or demoniac qualities. So that is the speciality of Krishna, and that is a real devotee also. When one who can see, one who can separate the milk from the water, just like a Hansa, when one who can see the good qualities in each living entity, whether he might not be like practicing devotion so much, but still Krishna has given him good qualities, some intelligence. So when devotee sees that, then actually he becomes more dear to Krishna. So here we see that Krishna actually saw only the good qualities of Putana and gave her a very nice position in the spiritual world. So that is what. So we don't know like what Krishna's plans are, and I think we'll keep discussing this, and this keeps on coming. Even Vaishali was asking that why would Krishna do things in a certain way, but ultimately we have to accept whatever is coming across our life. We have to accept those circumstances and then pray to Krishna. So that is what is given in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, that tatvena kampansu samikshamano bunjan evatma kritam vipakam. So once we accept these plans of Krishna, once we accept the difficulties or the suffering, the so-called sufferings which we experience in this material world, and then we pay the obeisances to Lord and then continue doing our devotional activities, that candidate is the eligible candidate for entering the spiritual world. So that's what 10th canto says. Lord Brahma is doing these prayers to Krishna. So like this, basically um, we have to bring more and more acceptance by connecting with Krishna and by connecting with guides and mentors, as we have discussed in the previous sessions. Yeah. So Manish, Prabhu, any questions? Does that
Thank
answer?
you.
Okay. Yeah. Keep attending these sessions. I think we'll unravel this thing more and more as Bhagavad Gita proceeds. Yeah. Okay. So basically the essence of today's session is Arjuna, although like he's such a highly saintly person and he has received so many benedictions from his gurus and authorities, and his intelligence is very, very clear, his consciousness is very elevated, and he's giving so many arguments actually, which are actually the traits of a very, very high leader, very, very qualified leader. But still we see that he's approaching Krishna. So two lessons we can learn from here. So one is like a leader who is very, very envisionary, and who can envision the future. He's humble, and he approaches some higher authority for clearing the confusions, for expressing his points. And the second thing is that higher authority is right now Krishna, and even great demigods who are leader of so much, like so many kingdoms, so many planets, they are approaching Krishna whenever they get into trouble. So if you want to become a leader, then approach Krishna. That is the secret of becoming a good leader. Yeah, that is the essence of today's session. Okay. If there is nothing else, we'll conclude for today. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.